Yo ho ho, Bills Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of Don Mafia Live. Happy holidays to you and your family. I must say, it's been a while since I think that I went live on my own specific channel, and it definitely works out in my favor because I just realized my camera, right in which that I normally film my videos, it's no longer reading my SD card. So before I go to Best Buy and get a new one, I figured, you know what, this week, rather than me just sitting on my ass, might as well just go live and talk about the Buffalo Bills rather than having to worry about these pre-recorded videos. Because I got to talk to you guys. Listen, we just ended up literally securing a playoff spot and the AFC East title. I mean, let's go on ahead and let's just mourn Dolphins fans, Jets fans, Patriots fans even, for thinking that they even had a chance of winning the division this year. So many of you who watch me on the AFC East Roundtable are always like, Dan, and so you can't let them get away with all this nonsense. Like, they're talking so much crap. You need to defend the Bills. I don't need to, because every single year, these guys get their hopes up sky high, And the Buffalo Bills end up completely destroying their hopes and dreams. And I'm here for it. I am simply just a person that sits back and lets my team do the dirty work. And I love it. Listen, we are in a tremendous position right now. We have the Bengals on Monday night, which is going to be a very interesting game. I'm very excited about that. Really hoping that we come out with the dub. I think that we are going to. And then, so the Patriots. So that final week 18. So things are definitely getting interesting going on into the season. And today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to predict the step-by-step process on how I think the Buffalo Bills are going to raise the Lombardi Trophy, bring it to Western New York, and we are going to dissect that, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to predict exactly our first playoff game, the divisional, the championship round, and the overall Super Bowl. Very, very excited to dive into that. Literally for the first 10, 15 minutes of the stream, we are going to discuss that. And then afterwards, I am going to open up the floor to any sort of Q&A via the chat so we can really start to discuss a little bit. Because I know that I didn't end up putting out a preview video for the Bears game. I didn't put a post game for the Bears game. Super busy with the holidays. So as I'm sure that you guys were as well. But super, super excited to dive into this. See a lot of my favorites right in the chat, ready to go. And welcome to yet another edition of the live stream, baby. I love it. I love it. Right before we dive into it, though, I do need to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor, and that just so happens to be BetUS. Guys, listen. Say, for example, that you are gambling degenerates like myself. BetUS is hands down the best sports book on the face of the planet, and they are giving you a free $50 just for signing up. I'm talking spreads, I'm talking money lines, I'm talking over-unders, player props. Literally hit that link in my bio, and they will give you a free $50. So if you are confident, right, that the Bills are going to cover the spread against the Bengals this coming Monday or any other game whatsoever, hit BetUS. That link is in my bio. You will not be disappointed. They put out a great, great product. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into this, ladies and gentlemen. What I ended up doing is right here is the ESPN playoff machine. And right here, in my opinion, is going to be the playoff picture. It's going to be the playoff picture going into it. Yes, I do see the Buffalo Bills winning out, and I do see us securing the first seed. I really, really do. Then we have the Chiefs at the second seed. I am praying, and I feel like a lot of us want to be on the exact same level right now, where if there was any time in Russell Wilson's career where he needs the cook, it's got to be this weekend, right? I would love for a nice little insurance policy for the Denver Broncos to rally around their interim head coach and defeat the Kansas City Chiefs so we have a bit of insurance so we can rest our starters going into Week 18 against the New England Patriots. Regardless, I have all the confidence in the world that the Buffalo Bills will end up winning out, and it's not going to matter. But I feel like I speak for everybody when it comes down to the fact that it would be nice. It would definitely be nice. Next up, we have the Jets as the 7th seed. Yes, I do see them winning out. I see that now that Tua is in the concussion protocol, it's not going to help them. I see the Dolphins not making the playoffs this year. And Dolphins fans, that is not a troll. It's not a troll. Like, y'all ended up losing out in your gauntlet, and now your starting quarterback, who gave you the best chance of winning, more than likely is not going to play, especially since he's already been in the protocol, already. And your organization would get so much shit. However, I do see Mike White rising up to the occasion and somehow falling ass backwards into the playoffs. Now, granted, I do see the Chiefs end up completely kicking their ass that first weekend. However, I see them. So congratulations on that end. Then I see the Ravens. And so I see then I see the Ravens, and then I see the Bengals playing up on the 3rd and the 6th seed. And then I also see the Chargers and the Jags going on ahead and for the 4th and the 5th seed from there. So that's the overall playoff picture that I see. Say, for example, that you think that anything is different, please sound off in the live chat. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. So starting off, this is what I foresee happening for the Buffalo Bills step-by-step process into raising the Lombardi. Okay? So we have the bye week, right? So we have the bye week. Then from there, I see the Chiefs beating the Jets. And so I see the Bengals definitely beating the Ravens because let's be honest, like Lamar Jackson is not going to be playing. Even if he was, I still see the Bengals going out on top and winning this game. This is where this game gets pretty interesting right here. We have the Jags and then we have the Chargers right then and there. I see the Jaguars winning this game. And then they're going to come up to Buffalo. The first game for the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs after the bye week is going to be the Buffalo Bills and the Jaguars. So whether or not that it's Jags and Ravens or whether or not that is Jags or Chargers, etc., I see the Jaguars being our very first opponent in the playoffs. Of course, I see us winning this game. As long as our offensive line is healthy and ready to go and we don't have a repeat of last season where we legitimately had a practice squad offensive line going up against the other Josh Allen, I literally see this being a highlight reel for Josh Allen and this overall offense. I see the Buffalo Bills beating the Jaguars in the divisional round. So the Jags are going to win their first playoff game. It's going to be crazy. It's going to cement Doug Peterson's fit for coach of the year, but that's going to be it. I see the Buffalo Bills playing the Jags that first divisional round, and then afterwards we will come out on top, defeat them, and then move on into the championship game. From there, you're probably going to ask, well, what's the divisional going to look like on the other side of things? It's going to be the Chiefs and the Bengals. And I know a lot of us are always talking about, hey, listen, I know the Bengals have the Chiefs number. I think the Chiefs are going to come out on top, man. I think the Chiefs are going to come out on top and defeat the Bengals, and the AFC Championship is going to be played in Buffalo, thank God. But the Chiefs will beat the Bengals, and the Bills and the Chiefs will end up going right within Buffalo, and it's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs for the AFC Championship. It's going to be a big week. I have a feeling it's going to be yet another overtime sort of matchup, a heavyweight bout. I see Travis Kelce having a hell of a game. I see Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes having an absolute shootout. It's going to be fucking insane. But the Bills come out on top. I see it, man. I see it. Listen, I feel like so far within this prediction, it's going to be like a revenge tour, right? So it's going to be the Jags with the 2017 revenge and last year's revenge. Then it goes into the Chiefs and then getting that revenge from there. And then finally we end up going into Arizona for the Super Bowl. And I know a lot of us are about to be absolutely insane. I will legitimately, the second that we beat the Chiefs right in the AFC Championship, you are going to see your boy secure his ticket right to Arizona for that Super Bowl. And that is going to be none other than against the Philadelphia Eagles. I pity the state of Arizona that has to deal with the Buffalo Bills and Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl. I really do. Let's talk about the craziest fan bases on the face of the planet meeting for an event like that. I simply feel that there is not an infrastructure in this entire country that can handle that. From there, I think that this is going to be one of the most exciting Super Bowls on the face of the planet, but it is going to end with the Buffalo Bills raising that Lombardi. So quick summary. So the Buffalo Bills playoffs prediction, first week bye, right? We are going to secure that first seed. So the Broncos are going to pull off an upset against the Chiefs this week rather. So the Buffalo Bills are going to rest their starters against the Pats. Doesn't matter, first seed locked right then and there. First game that we play right after the bye week, it's going to be against the Jags because they are going to be the Chargers or the Ravens, whoever they play. It's going to be a very easy game, highlight reel for Josh Allen. Then we're going to go to the AFC Championship where it's going to be against the Chiefs. So we're going to get that revenge that we have so desperately wanted. And then after we defeat the Chiefs and raise that championship for the AFC, we are going to go to Arizona for the Super Bowl, and it's going to be against the Philadelphia Eagles. Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, 110%. There is no doubt in my mind that is exactly how it is going to play out. And I cannot be more excited. I really cannot. So, like I said, for the first couple of minutes of the stream, I just wanted to give you my ideas of exactly how I think that this playoff picture structure is going to sort of portray. Now, what I would like to do is I just want to go on ahead and I just want to go to the live chat. Let's start talking to you guys. Let's literally dive into some Q&A and let's talk about concerns. Let's talk about what you think into the playoff picture is about to be like, et cetera, et cetera. So live chat, sound off, baby. So we have DF Forever coming in saying Bills versus Bengals in the AFC Championship. See, man, I see this as super interesting because I know that the Bengals have the Chiefs number for the most part, but there's only so many times where I think that you can get one over Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I feel like eventually they're going to have an answer for it. And while I think that divisional round is going to be very exciting, very, very exciting to watch, I think the Chiefs are just going to hit fire right within the playoffs, especially that first game right within wild card weekend and then going into the divisional. I'm still thinking it's Bills Chiefs for the AFC Championship, man. I'm still thinking it is. I just have a gut feeling, as much as I would like it to not be, it's going to be it. As Norm comes in and says, I hope you are right, sir. Me too, man. Me too. We got my guy coming in. Dante, what's up, man? Diggs is not getting the ball enough. Yeah, man, for sure. I think that this past game was his least amount of production right within this entire year. Starting it off, there was definitely a couple of games for the first half he was not involved at all, but then with the second half it was 7 or 8 straight targets. This past game was weird. I mean, I think he had 2 or 3 receptions this past game. Say that there was any game where Diggs needs to have as many targets as humanly possible against the Chicago Bears, I think we can be okay, right? We definitely soundly beat Chicago this past Saturday. And as an athlete, especially for Stephon Diggs, he needs to be more involved, but I do not seeing this happen again for the entire year. And so I see this being a time where he is really, really going to be involved moving forward. I can seriously see that. Slinksy comes in and says, Dan, and so here's a question. How did Tua get hurt off of that hit? Slinksy, I saw this earlier today when I was looking at highlights, and there was one specific hit against the Packers where his head bounced off the turf harder than I have seen his previous hits this year that have kept him out of games. I'm surprised that he remained in the game after that hit. And there's no way in hell that he's going to play next week. There's no way. There's zero way in hell. Zero way in hell. I think that y'all are definitely going to end up seeing so with Skylar Thompson, and he's going to end up going up against the Pats. And unfortunately, I see the Pats winning this game. I feel with Tua going into the protocol this week is the worst thing that could possibly happen to that team. And unfortunately, I just don't see the Dolphins making the playoffs this year. It sucks, but it is what it is, right? Let's see, Mike Green. And so I'm surprised that they didn't say it was a chest injury like they lied about during the Bills' first game. I'm still surprised that that dude played the remainder of that game. It sounds like Miami just does not care about Tua's health whatsoever. And they just put W's over the health of their quarterback, right? So the best ability is availability. And like with Tua, with his entire career, he's just not there. He's just not there, which is rough. All right. So Matt C comes in and says, Dan, so you think the Bills are holding back plays from the playbook, like saving offensive plays for the playoffs? 1,000%. 1,000%. Like, I mean, like, you'll definitely notice that there's things about our offense that have just come to fruition right without the past couple of weeks, right? Like last week against Chicago, like with Devin Singletary had 100 yards and James Cook had 99. Like absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. That entire run game, like I literally had a chub the entire time that I was watching that game. And that was something that we didn't see out of the Buffalo Bills playoffs, or like out of the Buffalo Bills playbook, rather, that entire season. That and finally getting Dawson Knox involved. There's so many things up Dorsey's sleeve that I feel like that we haven't seen. And things are just about to get very interesting, man. Very interesting. Let's see. And so I saw a question about Beasley, who I am a huge advocate for. Will Cole Beasley be a factor in the playoffs? Yes. I do see Beasley being a massive, massive contributor right within the playoffs, man. Like, I mean, like we saw, like, I mean, like he had like 1 or 2 receptions last week. And so against Chicago, and 1 reception against Miami. He's slowly but surely being implemented right within this offense. And when you compare Beasley and McKenzie and Shakir, like outside of the slot, he has the most experience with Josh Allen. And so there's a certain comfort level with the two. This guy is going to be our starting slot receiver. I would not be surprised if next week, and so against the Bengals, that like he sees like 70 to 80% of the snaps. Seriously, like we picked him up for a reason. He's going to be that starting slot. He's just way more consistent than what else we have. So yes, most definitely. I see Beasley playing a large factor, not only on Monday night, but definitely into the playoffs for sure. So with Jaco comes in and says, what's up with Beasley? Same thing, man. Like I said, I just think that like he's slowly but surely starting to refamiliarize himself with the playbook. Yes, he does have that familiarity with Josh Allen, but he does have a new offensive coordinator. So I think it's going to take some time. But I see the Beasley coming out game on Monday night. And so against the Bengals. I'm super, super excited about that. With Jordan Smith says, what happened to John Brown? He's still in the practice squad, right, man? So, like, I mean, like, he's elevated sometimes and he is not. I still feel like that it's sort of like a toss-up, right? Like, and so do we want to elevate John Brown or are we trying to elevate Beasley, right? Like, there's definitely going to be some questions when it comes down to that. But he is still in the practice squad, still ready to go from there. DF Forever says, my God, we almost had 2 halfbacks with 100 yards. That should scare the NFL. Every team that should be scared. For sure, man. 110%, man. Like, I love when I hear other fan bases try and say, oh, man, like Josh Allen had 2 picks. Like, his game wasn't that good against the Chicago Bears. I was like, you should be terrified that we can still put up 35 points when our quarterback is not playing at his full potential. And when finally our running game has arrived, right? So the rest of the NFL should be shitting their pants, especially if we can maintain that level of consistency. I feel like a lot of us need to be super happy about that. So the Dirty Jersey said, and so the Bears D-line is trash, though. Certainly is, but still. And so when you have two running backs, and so go for 100 yards apiece, that's still very impressive. And so thanks, Green Cane. I appreciate you, man. So I appreciate you, man. Like, was just telling everybody my camera actually, and so it didn't break, but my memory card has taken a giant shit. So rather than me wait for this new card to come through, I just said, you know what? So enough is enough. Might as well just go live. Because the people need their content, baby. The people need their content. John comes in and says, so is it me, or is every time it seems Mitch goes out and so our running game seems to pick up? It's funny that you say that because it's like a double-edged sword, right? Like it's like, yes, our run game does go up, but at the same time, it's our guy Josh Allen is running for his life, right? So it's sort of a toss-up. What do we want? And so do we want Cook and Devin Singletary to absolutely go off? Or do we want Josh Allen to risk injury and just be running for his life the entire game? Most definitely. I do miss Mitch Morse, though. I'm not going to lie. And we need him. We absolutely need him. Mike Green comes in and says, Bills are the only team this year that has rushed for over 100 yards every game. Interesting. Did not know that, Mike. So the Mafia King says, read my last comment. Okay, Mafia King. Let's scroll on up here, buddy. It's been a while here. And so just do me a favor and just leave it again. DF Forever with the donation. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. And so your work is better live. Thanks, man. Josh Allen elbow. The Josh Allen elbow. I think that's a question. And so I think that's a question. I think I think it's fair to assume that he's fine. I feel like he's fine, man, honestly. I think that it still just comes with growing pains. I still think that he still needs to sort of get used to this whole new method of play calling with Dorsey. I feel like his elbow really only affected him about 2 or 3 games after that Jets injury. I feel like that's my thought process there. But I think it's fine, man. And so I think he's fine. And so the throws I've seen him made, and so the throws I have seen him make, I have no concern. And Renegade comes in and says 5 more W's. 5 more W's. Absolutely. Say that you were just joining this stream. At the beginning of my stream, I ended up giving you my prediction of how I feel the Buffalo Bills are going to go through the playoffs. And this was it. Number 1. And so we get the 1 seed. First game is against the Jags. Beat them. Then the AFC Championship is the Chiefs. And the Super Bowl is against the Eagles, where it ends in us raising the Lombardi. It's my goal, man. So do me a favor and bookmark this video, because that's exactly what's going to happen. So with FL comes in and says, predict the game against the Bengals on Monday. You're going to have to wait, man. So you're going to have to wait. And so I'm dropping my preview video more than likely on Thursday. Spoiler alert, I do see this being a very close game. I think it's going to be a thriller. I see it being very high scoring. I see both offenses shining, but I do see the Bills coming out on top. But I will give a more in-depth analysis on Thursday night. And so once I start going through with that. So the Mafia King says, I still got the Bills versus the Bucs in the Super Bowl when Brady passes the torch to Allen, and we finally get our 20-year revenge on Brady, and Allen becomes the new face of the NFL and the next greatest of all time quarterback. Hashtag Bills Mafia. That would be interesting. That would definitely be interesting. And say, for example, that is the matchup, then I feel like no one can ever have an argument against the fact that with the NFL is scripted. There's no way. In my opinion, this is not Bills related at all, but I have a feeling the Panthers are going to win that division. I think the Panthers are going to win that division this year, and Brady's not going to make it at all. Hot take, like I said. And so if you think I'm wrong, then make sure you fade me on BetUS. But come on, bro. Insane. Jordan Smith says, bigger collapse down the stretch, the Dolphins or the Titans? Is Tannehill traded in the offseason? Interesting question. Biggest collapse is hands down the Dolphins. Hands down the Dolphins. I can say that the Titans have an excuse because they had inconsistency in overall health when it came down into Tannehill, right? The Dolphins, they lost their gauntlet, right? And if you ask any diehard Dolphins fan, the second that schedule got released, every single serious Dolphins fan circled that 4-game stretch, right? And so against the Niners, the Chargers, the Bills, and the Packers. And they said, this is going to tell us who this team is, who the Dolphins were. They have no excuse. And so the Dolphins had a healthy Tua the entire time, with Tyreek Hill and Waddle was still there. And so the defense was still there, etc. They had no excuse. The Titans have an excuse where they can say, hey, well, like with Tannehill wasn't necessarily playing the way that he needed to. Hands down, it's the Dolphins. Hands down, it's the Dolphins. They had every possible opportunity to steal this division from the Buffalo Bills. All they had to do was just simply like win like 2 out of the 4. I mean, maybe even 1 out of the 4. And so to be honest with you, and they didn't, right? And so this team continuously becomes choke artists when it comes down into December football. It's how it is. And so my guy Green Kane comes in and says the Bengals game is huge. It's going to be massive. It's going to be massive. One thing I do want to say, I said this earlier on in my stream, okay? We better be massive Broncos fans this weekend. And I know it's like, oh, Dan, like the Broncos against the Chiefs. Something about having an interim head coach's first game when a team rallies around them, I feel like this game might be a little more interesting than a lot of people think. I feel like this game might be a little more interesting than a lot of people think. If we needed Russ to cook any weekend, any week, it's this week. All we need to do is just have the Broncos win this game. We beat the Bengals. And lo and behold, we sit our starters against the Pats on week 18. That would be an ideal situation. YouTube user says we're going to have a better game than what the rest of the NFL thinks. I agree. So with the Bengals defense, man, like they're good. And so their offense is solid too. But like, I mean, I just feel like that like there are so many favorable matchups. And so I feel like our receivers versus their DBs matchups are a hell of a lot more favorable than their receivers. And so their receivers, and so against our DBs and our defense. And you do need to remember as well, like, yes, Burrow, he's a stud. But the Bengals offensive line, while improved, is still like bottom half of the league. Not good. He's not a mobile quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. He's not a mobile quarterback. And so the way that Ed Oliver has been playing, like our defensive tackles, our defensive ends, like Burrow is not going to hurt you with his legs. So if we can get even any sort of pressure on this guy, just make sure that we have decent enough coverage with Chase, with T. Higgins. I feel like that there's opportunities that can be made. I really feel that. My guy DF Forever says, Dan, you better give that AFC East round table heck. LOL. Dude, I will. And so I will, man. Like I said, like this entire year, man, like, I mean, like half y'all always said, Dan, and so you're too easy on TD. And so you're too easy on Richie or Tyson, etc. And so, because guys, like, I knew that this was going to happen. I knew that this was going to happen. Why stress myself out by trying to convince these delusionals that they even had a chance in the first place? I knew that the Buffalo Bills were a December team and we would win the games that meant the most. And so I knew the Dolphins were riding high on their week 3 championship, their week 3 divisional championship. And I knew that they were going to collapse. It happens every single year. But yes, for you, and so I'll give him some shit. And so I'll give him some shit coming on to it. Broncos country, let's ride. That's what I'm talking about, man. Beat the Chiefs. Help us out. And so not a lot of you have any confidence in Russell Wilson on Sunday. Let's hope he cooks, man. Let's hope he cooks, because I would love to be able to sit our starters on Sunday. I would love to be able to sit our starters against the Pats. So John Marlowe comes in and says that Joe is slow, and if it's Burrow versus R not letting guys open, then so be it. They lost Leal for the remainder of the season. I saw that. Massive blow to their offensive line. Massive blow right to the Bengals offensive line. It's not going to be good for them. Seriously. And so Ian comes in and says, how do you feel about Dane Jackson? I think he's a liability. So I think he's a liability. I think that especially on Monday, we're going to see Cincinnati pick on him a lot. And so I see T. Higgins like having an absolute massive game. So I think he's promising, right? And so I really, really do. But I feel like that's the best available at this point, right? And so with Elam, like, just has not like made the progressions that we need him to. And it's just scary, right? But yeah, we'll see what's up. And so Mark comes in and says that so the Chiefs don't scare him anymore. Same with DF Forever. He goes, Elam. Exactly, man. And so I'd rather Elam out there than Jackson. And so I'm almost wondering if like McDermott is like saving him for the playoffs, like trying to make people think that like we've just, said, nah, like he's not going to be a factor. And it's just like, surprise, here he is. But with Dane Jackson, man, he's a liability. He's a massive liability for this team. And so Mafia King rolls in and says, remember when people thought that the AFC East was a tough division and the so-called best division in the league? Good times. I mean, as far as records are concerned, like we're still up there. So with that, and the NFC East is definitely up there. But yeah. It's definitely going to be Bills first seed, and then I think one other team might make the 7th seed. Say that I had to guess out of any team out of the AFC East that makes the playoffs. Some people might think I'm crazy for this, but I see the Jets in securing the 7th seed. I do. And so their schedule is easier. And they have Mike White coming back. And so I see the Chiefs falling in ass backwards into the playoffs and getting absolutely smoked by the Chiefs. It's a wild card weekend. Smoked by the Chiefs. And so John Coleman says Elam and White. That right there is the ideal matchup for sure. Speed will hold them down. Same with FL comes in and says that. And so you guys need to have you guys need to have Bishop on the AFC roundtable. He's a diehard Browns fan. Would make some good content. Yeah, man, for sure. Like, I mean, like we definitely love like having as many guests as possible. And so I collabed with a Browns YouTuber not too long ago. He runs a show called The Worst Take. Great guy. So love his stuff, but I am certainly going to have to check this dude out. and see if he wants to roll in. And so we normally like to have guests on, like based off of news that's going on within the AFC East. But Nick Wright knows all. He does not. He absolutely does not. John says, I think the Jets are going to knock out the Dolphins. Me too. And so I think the 7th seed is going to be determined by that final matchup. And I see the Jets winning. I see the Jets winning, and I see TD being an absolute emotional wreck. So the artist formerly known as Indie Jets, Dan, and do you think you'll be resting the starters week 18? It all depends, man. And so it all depends. And it all depends on Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Can Russ cook and pull off a victory against the Kansas City Chiefs? That right there is going to be the determining factor. Because say, for example, that we win on Monday. Say, for example, that the Chiefs end up winning as well. Then, yeah. And so we will go on ahead and definitely still have our starters out there against the Pats. And the NFL will more than likely make sure that our games are scheduled at the exact same time because that's how they are. And they don't want to see us watching each other's games. But say that we win and the Chiefs win, then we will have our starters out there. Say the Chiefs lose and we win, then so we will not. And then say that we lose, and so the Chiefs do win, and so they go back to the number 1 seed, then I could see us still sitting our starters as well on week 18 for the 2nd seed going into it. But I am still very, very confident that that 1st seed is all Buffalo. So I see John saying that Tua is done. I see that. Sadat, what up, man? What up, bro? Is Nick Wright is a joke? Yeah, man, he is. He is. So we know. And so we're playing our starters to get the number 1 seed. Yeah, for sure. So the only way that we don't have the starters out there is as if we beat the Bengals, and by some miracle, we have and so the Broncos beat the Chiefs. That's the only way. That, or we lose against the Bengals and the Chiefs win. Then at that point, it's like, fuck it. We just rest up and get ready and for that 1st week. But I'm not trying to put that negative energy out there. I still feel like we're going to secure that number 1 seed. Gabriel comes in and says, where do you see Zach Wilson next season? Not on the Jets. I don't see him on the Jets, man. I really don't. As far as team, that's probably going to have to be a separate video. And so, I'm right over the offseason, to be honest with you. But, I think he'll be a backup somewhere. And then maybe he'll have, some sort of, swan song, with a different opportunity. But I do not see him being a part of the Jets organization next year. So I feel like that, there's been way too much damage. So William says that, God, we need to win these next 2. We definitely do. That 70 show says, I bet Derek Carr will beat the Chiefs in week 18. That would be funny. Zach Wilson equals Josh Rosen 2.0. Zach will be a Panther. See, these Panthers, man, they just, I don't know, man. With Sam Darnold, and so he has his team, so with an opportunity of winning that division in general. So some things could happen. Could Baker Mayfield be Matt Stafford's replacement? He's playing well, man. He's playing very, very well. I think Stafford has 1 more year in him, but I could definitely see Baker winning that out, man. He just works very good in Sean McVay's system. He really does. All right. So, Bills Mafia. That's going to have to do it for the stream today. As a reminder, I just want to tell everybody, so the prediction that I have for the playoffs, like I said, 1st seed for the Bills, 1st game against the Jags, dub. Then the AFC Championship against the Chiefs, dub. Then the Bills and the Eagles, Super Bowl, dub. Lombardi raised, Western New York. It's the curse is broken, so that I can die a happy man. One of the two. That's how it all plays out. Once again, and so this video is sponsored by BetUS. So the link's in my bio. Like, they will give you a free $50 just for signing up. Okay, so say, for example, that you love throwing money down on money lines, spreads, or over-unders. BetUS is literally the number one place to do it. Links are in my bio. Hit that shit up immediately. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Definitely appreciate you. And then I will be live again tomorrow for my weekly picks. Thank you again, and we'll see you tomorrow, y'all. Deuces.